Let's walk through the agenda so that we're all aware of what's going on. Today, as always, Monday's debate question. So you're going to have a few minutes to just look over the debate question, talk about it, volunteer who's going to go up. So, for instance, if Amora went up last time, Adler the time before, then it's other people in the group. Don't know the name, I'm sorry. What's the name? Haven't seen you in Skype Center yet. Badove is next, right? So that's what you're looking to do. That's an example for the rest of you. You're rotating through, making sure everyone gets into that Socratic Seminar Center. Get them prepped and ready. So that's Monday. Monday's debate question. Shh. Don't want to talk to you right now. Debate question, counter check. You already did those at 50 points, guys. Some of you, I said, hey, check with me at the end of the period if you've written down. So think about what you did last week. I don't want to just know notes and history. I want to know specifically, what did you do? What did you learn? If you reflect on those things, your life's going to be so much easier at some point in the future. To reflect on what you do. I know we have been neglecting our reading. We haven't been reading as much last week, but that's okay. We're going to get back into it. And today we'll look at some themes again. Kind of plug through one step at a time, getting no homework going. These are all classwork activities. All the worksheets you do with Fahrenheit are all classwork. So we'll walk through and do one of those together. You should have about 10 Samian matters done by the end of today. And a couple of vocabulary, about 9 or 10 vocabularies. Totally fine. Up to you when you want to get those done. But I will tell you when I see good quotes, you can always plug in your own. 9:16. Trying to get to about page 75 or so. So depending on how much we get through today, notice it's blank here. I'm not sure exactly, each class is in a little different spot, but we're trying to get through about 75 by Tuesday, just so that we're on track. We should be hitting part 2 of the book out of 3. There's 3 parts. We'll be finishing up part 1. Part 3 should be occurring soon. And then that's on Tuesday. We're going to do some physical stuff as opposed to all the writing that we've been doing. You guys have been doing great with that writing, learning it for the first time, doing that. And we'll be doing something more kind of movement-oriented as we connect it to our Fahrenheit characters. Character 2 will be Faber as a new guy coming in to take the place of Clarice in terms of Montag's character development. You'll be on Samian Matter 13 by Tuesday. And then finally on Wednesday, this is Wednesday, right? Do I have a Thursday one? Yeah. Wednesday, Life Hack Wednesday will be on public speaking. How do I talk in public? This is the first step towards the interview project, which is something that you'll do literally next semester at the very end. The final day you'll be in the center and you'll be dressed nice and trying to get a job. This is the first step to that process. Again, everything starts with one step forward. This is the thing. How do I stand up and talk in front of people without feeling nervous? Without using crutch words like and so basically right, or looking at something. To be clear-headed, it's a hard thing and it takes practice. So we'll practice it. I'll show you how to do it. Samian Matter up to Samian Matter 16, vocabulary 16, and we'll look at another theme. We'll try and get finish themes 2 and try and get more of those. We need about 6 themes on that worksheet by the end. Socratic Seminar 4 will be on Thursday, so that's where we all go together with that. Friday, computer lab, things due, Socratic Seminar notes. You want to start doing those since those are separate things. We'll be doing Plato logic, so I'll be showing you, introducing the Cassie review course that goes with Plato. If you've worked with Plato because you've done any type of credit recovery, the system will be easy for you. You'll have a leg up. The rest of us, we'll be learning for the first time. It's pretty simple. It walks you through some simple lessons that are meant to be helpful and instructive, diagnosing you for whatever you need help with grammar or with writing conventions. So it actually walks through the process, gives you a pre-test, and then opts you out of anything that you don't need to study. Some of you might be opted out of most of the course because you're already going to pass the Cassie, so you'll show me that on the pre-test. So that'll be on Friday. All right, here's a Socratic Seminar question. Here's your debate question. It's a statement, actually 2 statements. I want you to tell me whether you agree or disagree and why. So present the position, of course, with facts. Give me a specific scenario. Tell me if it changes, if there's different scenarios. You're starting to learn the routine of Socratic seminars. How do you question the statement or question the question, saying it depends on this, or maybe it's like this, or maybe there's this principle at work or that principle at work, but either way, you are thinking constructively and critically. Not just saying, yes, I believe that because someone told me. I want you to agree with something or disagree with something passionately and be able to argue for it. Here's the statement. One man or woman cannot change the world. Therefore, notice it's a continuation of thought, because no one can change the world, no one person can change the world, therefore, playing it safe and protecting yourself is the best option. Always, as long as you play it safe and protect yourself, you're good. Don't try to dream big, because no one man can change the world. Do you agree with that? Or do you disagree with that? And why? Some guiding questions. Does it matter what that quote-unquote how is regarding changing the world? Does it matter what how we're doing it? Are there different ways in which one man can change the world? Is it just a one-track thing? Or are there many avenues in which one person can impact the world? You can also think of that guiding question as what it means to change the world for the positive or the negative, and which one is easier, maybe. That could be a question. Can one man change the world in a bad direction? And is that easier or harder than changing the world in a good direction? What are the differences there? So that might be another one to think about kind of underneath that guiding question. Second guiding question is, what does change actually mean? What are we thinking about when we think about the word change? What's happening? How do we change the world? The world doesn't change unless we're talking about like destroying the planet, like pollution and stuff. Not really what I'm thinking about, obviously. We understand a connotative meaning of change the world as in like, I don't know, changing people. Right? So what does change mean? And then finally, number 3, is it wrong to quote-unquote play it safe? So if someone actually is saying, yeah, one man can't change the world, therefore playing it safe is the best option, can you judge them? Can you say, you're wrong. That is the wrong thing to do? Or are you going to more say, well, that's fine that you think that, but I think I can change the world, so I'm going to do it. But you're cool doing that too. It's both right. Are they both right, or is one person wrong in that scenario? So that's something to think about as well. Both right, or is one person wrong? That could be a way to explain that. Is it wrong to play it safe? Could you judge somebody? Say, no, you know what? Remaining silent on that is wrong. Playing it safe is wrong. Give me a scenario. How would you do that? All right. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes right now. I'll put it on the clock. And I want you, as you're thinking through, I know this is the first time you've seen it, so you're like, I still haven't even thought about it or asked about it yet, but I have 5 minutes on the clock. Work through it. Just maybe go through your yes and no's now, but give me scenarios by the time you're done, ready for your Socratic seminar. Have it thought about, especially the person who's actually volunteering. But each one of you gets extra credit if you talk on the outer circle. 5 minutes. Go. Begin. Write and talk about yes and no. Just go around your circle. Give me your initial thoughts. Doesn't matter how they're changing the world. Is it wrong to play it safe? What does the change mean?
Sometimes I feel like they get wrong. Just ideal.
That's really good. So it's depending on choice. It's like, but it's someone choosing to. It's important for them choosing to do something. It's different. You see the world and say that's not right. Very good. Write that down.
I'm not left there, Adler.
Yeah, don't agree with me. It's not alright. Great point. Just destroyed. No, it's too late.
Give 2 minutes. I got no more food.
My speed. I know.
Yes, no. Yes. No. Right.
I was like, oh, I jumped there to get our obsession.
My question was
I want to argue with you. Somebody got to do
we're going to go back and talk right down. Did everything work for Taylor?
So, just give me like, I'm not I don't like it.
Not wrong.
They don't know what to think. They just listen to us.
He's not wrong.
I'm going.
What do you think? Or is there like a society?
Yeah, but still active.
Like if you were to Oh, okay. I'm back about you.
I'll do this on the red line. See that chain reaction right there? That's cool, they automatically go down. He knew. I knew. So how do you feel about that? Do you want to bite you? Why? Kelsey doesn't bite. Why? Why do you want to go to bed yet? Nothing's happened. I played daily. Yeah, I want to read the scratch. I didn't make it. Yeah.
No.
Oh, hey, hold on. Is that water in the necklace?
I talked this to you. What do you guys think? Yeah, yourself, Bird.
I was talking.
Okay, steak. What's that? Okay, so maybe not the full world, but like the local. So it's more like the local one. I like that. So maybe distinct. Maybe I don't, but it's like spheres of it. So like like circles of influence where like I think small and local becomes unity. Not just one person shifting.
A little bit off topic. Do you do something for the girl, right? Like, after you like $5,000? Wait, not like that. I'm just. Never like, let's
Keep
say,
my life pretty private.
let's say you like when you were young, going all married. Like, you like this girl, like all of your friends are
Yeah. Did you kiss in public? They got these sport card. Trying to talk about your girlfriend, maybe.
I don't have a girlfriend.
Or the girl that let's say the girl that kissed and she's talking about it. Who you tell?
Stop.
Hey, talk to the girl. Say, hey, you know, what's up? Say, hey, you know, just keep don't make that mean thing. And if they say, you know, I actually do, I trust my friends, I want to tell them because if you're not willing to compromise.
Just more smart.
Dude, you got to measure things out in question. All right. Go back to your seat, Salisbury.
You also have to go back to the
No, you're fine there. I like you there. All right. So, real quick, that should be the end of things. You should have that written down. If you want to talk more about this kind of topic, make sure you have it sort of written down. There'll be time the next couple of days. I'll make sure to give you a little note at the top of each warm-up. Hey, talk about your debate question if you have new thoughts on it. But you got to now have somebody in your team who's going to be ready to volunteer. Go right to that center circle on Thursday. Let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit towards our reading. Before we do that, though, I want you to take out this paper from when we began reading. It's the theme worksheet. On one side it has characters, I believe, and the other side it has themes, or no, it has, on one side it has, the evaluation page, and then the themes are on the other side of that. So this is something that's a long-term thing. Again, small steps. We're working on it all together, but it isn't due until like the end of this month when we're finished with the book. As we go, we're walking through it and plugging it in all very slowly, again, paced. If you didn't really write down the first thing that we talked about, voluntary censorship, go ahead and write that down now, and we're going to do theme 2 real quick. If you don't know what themes are, I want you to write it at the top. Okay, what are themes? Maybe write an equal sign next to the word theme, and let's write down. What do you think a theme is? Write down that paper. Okay, after class, right now, just write down on your reading journal, so you can then fill it in. If I were to say, like, I love that theme song to that show. I love the theme song. What is a theme in that context, or a theme song? It tells you kind of what the show is going to be about. Good, it's a theme song. Put +3 on your journal right now, or your worksheet fine. Yeah. And for shows, there's instrumental theme songs that kind of give you a mood or set the tone. That has that kind of like creepy vibe in Walking Dead if you watch that. But let's think about it from a literary perspective. It's exactly what it sets the tone. It tells you what's it going to be about. The theme is a reoccurring image or lesson about society. Reoccurring image or lesson about society. It's telling you something about the problems in society or the good things in society, but it's using topics like you do with our Socratic seminar in order to describe what should or shouldn't be happening in society within the author's sort of perspective, right? What does he think should or should not happen? It's sort of like you're watching his own Socratic seminar notes. And what are the themes, the things that he brings up, the concrete details, the ideas of society that then he adds his own information on? For instance, the words voluntary censorship. What's voluntary mean? He's doing it because he wants to volunteer to do something, right, as opposed to being forced. And the word censorship meant what? We should already have these words kind of in our heads or defined. What does censoring mean? To censor something. Don't censor me, bro. Block out, or to keep you from knowing something, right? To block it out, to blur it out, how are things, what are censored in this society that is in Fahrenheit? Yes?
Oh no, I was going to say like
What's censored today, you mean?
Yeah.
What's censored today? Nudity, profanity, those kinds of things, right? There's certain moralities that are placed on you. In this society, literally the morality is do not what?
Read books.
Do not read books. And so that's what's censored. However, is that censorship, did it just come out of some foreign government that just came in, invaded, and said, now no one's going to read even if you love to read?
No.
You can't read? What happened? Well, what happened to their society to allow the firemen to take root? Did it come in from the top down, or Selena?
They saw things that was going to make them happy, and they weren't being happy, so they just took the thing.
It's sort of like how you guys don't read as much, maybe, as generations past, because you have other ways of knowing information. Or maybe you're just happy, you don't need to learn as much. So education becomes less important, you become more distracted, and before you know it, there's a government that says, well, you know what, you guys want to be distracted and unhappy, and happy? Let's get rid of books, make everyone equal. No one knows anything. And now you're happy. And so you're like, yeah, that's right. We just need our phones. We don't need any book. We don't need to learn anything. Socratic Seminar 1. It is worthless to study the past. You all said it's not worthless to study the past, and yet there is plenty of behaviors that we do that betray that. That it is worthless to study the past. So voluntary censorship, right? You should have a samey matter on that. If you don't, you can write one out. Find one in your reading journals or in your literature, and a quick picture of that. One I remember from Beatty that I could speak on, but you should have it in your notes, is that this didn't come from the top down, but from the bottom up. People demanded it, meaning they demanded the firemen. So that was an example that Beatty uses as a distortion of what the firemen are about. Now, that's one theme. I'm going to write another theme here, and I'm going to let you guys fill it in with your Samine Matters from your reading list, or as we read through, maybe we'll find it and discover it together. What's another theme of Fahrenheit? Think about characters and what they talk about. Think about the story itself, the details that are going on to it. Think about the time period or the setting and how it relates to any theme or something about what life or society should or shouldn't be based on what these characters are doing. So characters, plot, and setting. From those things, what is another theme? Just give me another idea or concept from this book that is being discussed. Adler.
Depression.
Perfect. Is that a theme? That's a theme. Does not go through over and over again. Montag, happiness is like a mask that's been ripped off of Clarice. How about Mildred? How does she show depression? The overdosing of Mildred, right? So that could be one of your says, your quotes there is that Mildred overdose. Write depression. Everyone write depression down. Depression. Find a quote on depression from the book. Perfect. It talks about the themes of depression. What else does this show? Thank you, Adler. Put +5 in here. That's fantastic. What else? There's probably, be surprised, whatever word pops into your head when you think about Fahrenheit, it's probably a theme. There's a lot of themes. There's no right or wrong answer because all of them could be right as long as you could argue it. Look at one of your reading, your quotes right now in your reading journal and tell me what you think the message is of that quote. That might help you. Give me one more and then we'll move on, I swear. What about death? Let's be specific about death. You're getting close. Death is definitely a recurring image. Who has been killed so far?
Grandma.
Old lady and who else?
Mildred.
Not Mildred, she hasn't died yet. Clarice has been hit by a car.
Mildred's gonna die?
We may not Mildred, I don't know about Mildred, but Clarice.
Not yet. Yeah, you just said not yet.
So far, she has not been killed. We don't know.
Everybody died.
I'll tell you she does die. Now, Clarice is killed, the old lady's killed. How does the society react to these people's deaths? Do they kind of go, oh my gosh? Okay, I would say the unimportance of death, right? The unimportance of death. That could be your third one. So here we have voluntary censorship. Number 2, you guys said depression. So I'm going to write that in here. Depression, 2 S's there. And number 3 here, unimportance of death. When people die, for Beatty, he said something like, don't even think about it. Fire is bright, fire is clean. Meaning, when people die, you burn them. Don't let people think about it, so they don't even cry. Friday, I left early from class on 5th period because I went to a funeral. In fact, within a week, I lost my cousin to cancer and my great-grandmother, who's 99, to a broken hip. Yeah, and it was a pretty intense pretty intense thing for our family to go through. Specifically, my cousin, who was only 42, and had a daughter who just graduated high school. She got to make it there, but she's been battling it for 2 years, and obviously couldn't get out of it. So, what do you do with that? Our family is pretty shattered for a while, right? Do we just forget about it and say, haha, I'm fine? Or you deal with it and confront it and try and figure out how you can relate to people in the midst of grief. Montag says it's important to be bothered every once in a while. He's not sure why, but he knows that it's important to be bothered once in a while, to feel some grief. Why? He doesn't know yet. He's learning. All right? So same with you guys. You're learning. Maybe you have experienced death, maybe you haven't, but you're going to be experiencing these things in the future. And boy, it is, when you get older, you start losing your grandparents, and then eventually you probably lose your parents. Maybe some of you, unfortunately, have already experienced those things. But it happens. Okay, so the unimportance of death in this society. The less we talk about it, the more mysterious or forgetful we are, and we don't think about our own grief, and it comes out as Mildred trying to OD. Yes?
I'm not really sure, but I want to say, like, I imagine, like, maybe religion might come into.
Religion, okay. Let's write that down.
Because they burn books, and so I imagine that they would probably burn these religious books.
Absolutely. In fact, the book that Montag steals is a religious book. So kind of a foreshadow there. You can think about it. It'll be the first thing. So I'll write down religion. Does someone else want it? Let's just finish them. You want to finish them? What's up?
Ignorance.
Ignorance. Okay, so this displays a society of ignorance, and that ignorance equals happiness. So maybe we'll add to that ignorance and happiness. And then give me another quote. Give me another theme. Yeah.
Power?
Yeah, the nature of power. So when you see a quote from Beatty about power, or the idea that who has power over the control of thoughts, you can write that down. Now, do you have to use these themes? No. You don't have to. If you find something that's cooler or more interesting, or what you've already written down for quotes, use those. But here's our list that we did together. So as we read, see if you can plug in these themes. Beyond the first two, you have unimportance of death, religion, ignorance and happiness, and the nature of power. I'll give you 20 seconds to write these down. Shh, write them. Randy, you got these written down?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, actually.
What's up? Yeah, I'll zoom in, sorry. I'm going to now scroll on to the last three. Ah, darn it. There you go. All right. Lights off, please. End of September. So we have lots of time. Yeah, but you're going to plug them in as we read. Good question from Tony. When is this due? Is this due this week? No. Due at the end with the book. So we're going to be getting close to part 2 now. We're going to try and get as much as we can read today. My theory 2 is on like 87. So you guys, and all my other classes are a little bit behind, but that's all right. We're walking at the pace that we need to go at. We left off, I believe, at 63 and 65. That's how I've written down. Unless that's wrong, we'll look at it. 63 in the small book, 65 in the big book. Beatty is leaving him after a long speech about the fact that the firemen, number one, are necessary, that they are important because society wants to be happy. It doesn't want to be sad. Do you want to be happy? We took a happiness quiz. What does it mean to be happy? We love that. But sometimes it might be important to be sad. And that's what Montag is kind of trying to figure out. What is the value in being sad? But Beatty is saying, no reason. Don't worry about the past. It's worthless. They don't mean anything. Now, Montag is watching Beatty as he leaves and is going to turn and do something incredibly sort of story-changing. It's going to be a game changer here in which Montag is going to reveal something to his wife. Do you have a question, Barbara? Okay. 63 in this book, I believe 65, it's when it says Montag walks through the window. Please follow along. If you find quotes for any of the themes that's what you're going to today, you can also write down a samey matter. You can do the same samey matter as your themes is on your reading journal, so you can repeat them. Repeat them. It's okay. Montag watched through the window as Beatty drove away in his gleaming yellow flame-colored Beetle with the black tarp-colored tiles. And across the street and down the way, and the other houses stood with their flat fronts, meaning there's no porches. What was it Clarice had said one afternoon? No front porches. My uncle says there used to be front porches, and people sat there sometimes at night, talking when they wanted to talk, walking and not talking when they didn't want to talk. Sometimes they just sat there and thought about things. turn things over, you know. My uncle says the architects got rid of the front porches because they didn't look well. But my uncle says it's merely rationalizing it. The real reason hidden underneath might be that they didn't want people sitting like that, you know, doing nothing, talking, rocking. That was the wrong kind of social life. It means you're going to the mall, or texting, or getting on the computer, or outside just running around, not thinking of anything. Not many gardens anymore to sit around in. And look at the furniture, no rocking chairs. They're too comfortable, get people up and running around, my uncle says, and my uncle. Her voice faded. Montag turned and looked at his wife, who sat in the middle of the parlor talking to an announcer, who was in turn talking to her. Oh, Mrs. Montag, he was saying, with this, that, and the other. Mrs. Montag. Something else and still another. The converter attachment, which had been costing them $100, automatically supplied her name whenever the announcer addressed his anonymous audience. So voice recognition, kind of a Siri kind of thing. Leaving a blank where the proper syllables could be filled in with a special Wavex scrambler. Also caused his televised image. The area immediately run the lips to mouth the vowels and consonants beautifully. This is before computers. So Bradbury's trying to think about, well, what would that look like? Filling in televised this smart television. And now we have computers. We know exactly how that would look. Prediction. Also caused his televised image in which it just looked like he's talking directly to his wife. A friend, no doubt. A good friend. Oh, Mrs. Montag. Now look right here. Selling her a product. Montag, her head turned, though she quite obviously was not listening. Montag said, it's not a step from not going to work today to not working tomorrow. To not working at the firehouse ever again. Well, you are going to work tonight, though, aren't you? Said Mildred. I haven't decided direct. Right now I've got an awful feeling I want to smash things and kill things. Now go take the Beetle. No thanks. Oh, now the keys are in the Beetle all on the right night table. I always like to drive fast when I feel that way. You get it up around 95 and you feel wonderful. This is that fake happiness, maybe ignorance and happiness quote, or the nature of power, Mildred. She goes fast, she feels wonderful. You hit a rabbit, sometimes even hit dogs. Go take the Beetle. Fun to hit dogs with your car. It's fun. No, I don't want to do. Maybe another thing about violence. Maybe people like violence. No, I don't want to this time. I want to hold on to this funny thing. It's gotten big on me. I don't know what it is. It's, you know, I'm so damned unhappy. I'm so mad. I don't know why. I feel like I'm putting on weight. I feel, you know, fat. I feel like I've been saving up a lot of things, and I don't know what. And I might even start reading books. Oh, they'd put you in jail, wouldn't they? She looked at him as if he were behind the glass wall. He began to put on his clothes, moving restlessly about the room. Yes, and you know, it might be a good idea, too. Before I hurt someone. Did you hear Beatty? Did you listen to him? He knows all the answers. He's right. Happiness is important. Fun is everything. And yet I kept sitting there saying to myself, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. Well, I am, Mildred's mouth beamed, and proud of it. I'm going to do something, said Montag. I don't even know what yet, but I'm going to do something big. I'm tired of listening to this junk, said Mildred, turning from him to the announcer again. Montag touched the volume control of the wall, and the announcer was speechless. Hey, Millie, press the mute button. Oh, shh. You know, this is your house as well as mine, and I feel it's only fair that I tell you something now. I should have told you before, but I wasn't even admitting it to myself. I have something I want you to see, something I've been putting away and hid during the past year, now and again, once in a while. I didn't know why, but I did it, and I never told you. He took a straight back chair. I don't know if I can do this here. I gotta have a chair for this. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can do it without hurting you. Sorry about you. I swear I won't hurt your stuff. I think I can be pretty balanced there. There we go. He took a straight back chair and moved it slowly and steadily into the hall near the front door and climbed up on it and stood for a moment like a statue on a pedestal, his wife standing under him waiting. Then he reached up and pulled back the grill of the air conditioning system. Moved moved it slowly and steadily to the hall near the front door and climbed up on, and then without looking at the sheet of metal and took out a book. Dropped it. How did that get there? All right. Without looking at it, he dropped it to the floor. He put his hand down and dropped the 2 books to the floor after going back up, finding more books here. Look out. It's not going to hit you, I swear. He kept going, moving his hands and dropping books. Small ones, fairly large ones. I don't have any large ones. Yellow, red, green ones. Then, when he was all done, he looked down upon some 20 books. I have 4. Okay. I didn't want it to collapse on someone right before the gag is up, you know, they're killing my students. I was just trying to be a good teacher. Now he's looking down, he's got all these books. I'm sorry. He said, I didn't really think, but now it looks as if we're in this together. Okay, remember Socratic Seminar last week? What was it on? What if it was books? Now Mildred, think of it from Mildred's perspective for a second. He's brought something in their house, it's like, looks like we're in it together. You're as guilty as I am. What would you do if you were Mildred? Would you be mad? Or would you take a look at why something like this is illegal? Should books be illegal? Should they even be there? So maybe the nature of what's illegal is important as well. And is she willing to put herself in danger in order to change the world? You see how it connects to Socratic Seminar 4. Mildred backed away as if suddenly she was confronted by a pack of mice who had come up and run up onto the floor. He could see her breathing rapidly and pull her face paled and her eyes were fastened wide. She said his name over, twice, 3 times. What? Guy! Guy! Then moaning, she ran forward, seized a book, and ran to the kitchen incinerator. He caught her, shrieking, "Ah, no, he held her and she tried to fight away from him, scratching, "Millie, no, wait, stop it, will you? You don't know, stop it!" He slapped her face, and he grabbed her again and shook her. This is what you did to women in the 50s. Millie, snap out of it! You're weak. That's what. Have you seen all the 1950s movies where like the girls like hysterical? It's like, oh my god! Hey, step out of it! Get a hold of yourself. Be a man. All right. It happens in The Simpsons, right? He caught her shrieking. She said his name and began to cry. Yeah, she got slapped. Millie, he said, listen, give me a second, will you? We can't do anything. We can't burn these. If what the captain says is true, we'll burn them together. Believe me, we'll burn them together. You must help me. He looked down into her face and took hold of her chin and held it firmly. So like grabbing her chin. Maybe not firmly. He's trying to be nice, but he just laughed. He was looking not only at her, but for himself and what he must do in her face. Whether we like this or not, we're in it. I've never asked for much from you in all these years, but I ask it now. I plead for it. We've got to start somewhere here, figuring out where and why we got in such a mess. You and the medicine nights, Millie, and the car, and me and my work. We're heading right off a cliff, Millie. I don't want to go over the cliff. This isn't going to be easy. We haven't enough to go on, and we haven't anything to go on, but maybe we can piece it out and figure it out and help each other. I need you so much right now. I can't tell you. I love you. If you love me at all, you'll put up with this. 24, 48 hours, that's all I ask. Then it'll be over, I promise. I swear. And there is something here. If there's just one little thing in the whole mess of things here, maybe we can pass it on to someone else. She wasn't fighting anymore, so he let her go. She sagged away from him and slid down the wall and sat on the floor looking at the books. Her foot touched one, and she saw him pull the foot away. That woman the other night, Millie, you weren't there. You didn't see her face. And Clarice, you never talked to her. I talked to her, and men like Beatty are afraid of her. I can't understand it. Why should they be afraid of someone like her? But I kept putting her alongside the firemen in the house last night. I suddenly realized I didn't like them at all. I didn't like myself at all anymore. I thought maybe it would be the best if the firemen themselves were burnt. Guy! The front door voice called softly, Mrs. Montag. Mrs. Montag, someone here. Someone here, Mrs. Montag. Mrs. Montag, someone here. Softly. They turned to stare at the door, and the books toppled everywhere in heaps. Beatty! said Mildred. Oh, it can't be. Please come back, she whispered. The front door voice called again softly. Is someone here? I said, Montag. But we won't answer. Montag lay back against the wall and then slowly sank to a crouching position and began to nudge the books bewilderedly. And with the thumbs and his forefinger, he was shivering and wanted above all to shove the books up through the ventilator again. But he knew he could not face Beatty again. And he crouched and then he sat. And the voice of the front door spoke again, more insistently. Montag picked up a single volume from the floor. Where do we begin? We begin at the beginning, I guess. He'll come in, said Mildred, and burn us in the books. The front door voice faded at last, and there was silence. Montag felt the presence of someone beyond the door, waiting, listening, and then the footsteps going away down the walk and over the lawn. All right, let's see what this is, said Montag. He spoke the words haltingly and with a terrible self-consciousness. He read a dozen pages here and there and came at last to this. It is computed that 11,000 persons have at several times suffered death rather than submit to break their eggs at the smaller end. Mildred sat across the hall from him. What does it mean? See, it doesn't mean anything. The captain was right. Here now. We'll start again. At the beginning. That's the end of part 1. Take a break for a second. Okay. That last quote at the end there, just kind of working backwards. It doesn't. Does that mean anything to you? There has been at one time computed thousands of people who've been killed by the fact that they don't want to break their end on their egg on the wrong side. What does that mean? Why is that the quote that Bradbury chose to put as the first thing Montag wrote? Go ahead and write that down right now, and I'll give somebody 20 points of extra credit. Tell me why he wrote that down, and that's what we'll do tomorrow. How much time do we have left? 4 minutes. Perfect. Write that quote down right now. I want you to investigate it. 20 points of extra credit. DF notice will come out Wednesday. This could help you great. Tell me why you think that's the first line Bradbury chose Montag to read in the books he kept on the ventilator. It is computed that 11,000 persons have at several times suffered death rather than submit to break their eggs at the smaller end. What does that mean? Tell me tomorrow. Yeah. Page 68 in this book. I think 69 or 70 on that one. It's at the end of part 1, so find where it starts saying part 2 and then go back 1 page and you'll find it. It is computed that 11,000 persons have at several times suffered death rather than submit to break their eggs at the smaller end. Just finding a section of that would be fine. Break their eggs at the smaller end might be the key phrase. It's from a book. This is a literary illusion that we don't know about, just like Montag. So you're discovering this stuff also for the first time. You are like Montag, figuring out why it's not worthless to study the past. Or maybe it's being convinced like Beatty that it is worthless. You'll come down on one side or the other with these characters, either Beatty or Montag. That's for you to decide how you're going to live your life. Make sure you have your Socratic seminar notes. Just like Universal Studios, I'm going to reset this. Yeah. Sorry to make you stand up again. What? Should I put more books up there? Yeah. Is it better with more books? Just add a couple more. Make it collapse, yeah. Try and put them like on this ventilator. There we go. Fire inspector comes in, the books collapse. Do a couple more. Get a fat man. Batman over and the gimmick is over. Reset. There we go. You guys are good listeners, the thinkers today. Thank you very much. Arm shot. And